This is Blur. We're here on Xbox 360. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here? It's 720p, 30 FPS. And yeah, this is Blur, which is essentially a great combat racing experience. This is something I actually quite liked back in the day, at least I recall playing the multiplayer action and stuff like that. Which obviously, you can't play anymore, which is a bit of a shame, but, that's just how it is. I think there's some split-screen options, though. But yeah, this was kind of a cool combat racing sort of thing, where you collect, like, it's kind of like a more mature, intensive, I guess you would say, like, Mario Kart sort of vibe. So you're battling along these tracks, and you're using these, power-up abilities that you collect in order to cause damage to the other vehicles and try to get ahead. There's like the campaign, there's some different modes and stuff like that, some quick play options. But yeah, it's just kind of a really interesting rumbling battling thing. Now it is quite jagged around the edges, but whoa, there is something nice to the style of it. Actually does hold up decently well. I mean, it kind of looks like the trees are, oh, come on! Little 2D-esque, but, they kind of puff them out a little bit so they look 3D, and, some of the environmental stuff looks pretty good. I think there's good use of kind of like a film grain effect. It actually seems to really be doing wonders for this. But what's neat about it, though, I mean, if you can't already tell, is just, like, sort of how you've got all these power-ups going on, and it very much, again, Mario Kart-esque in that regard, where you're sort of like, oh geez, using these abilities and kind of dodging the abilities that have been set up, like mines and everything. It's just like some really intense arcade action, which is kind of cool. Oh, righty, okay, that's a lot of, that was a lot of enemy kind of like mines and stuff on the player field, which is wild. But yeah, this was sort of maybe the last, or the penultimate, perhaps, release from like Bizarre Creations. And it's a bit of a shame, as they were apparently working on actually doing something like new. They were working on like a sequel of this, I guess, at one point, and they were going to advance the technology further. And I think it's actually a bit of a shame that we didn't get to see that, because this one is quite a bit of fun to play. Yeah, it's actually, I remember doing the multiplayer stuff and having a really good time with it. Gamer picture unlocked. Oh yeah, you know what's up. You know what's really neat about this one? And I was, just to be extra safe, I just turned off all the music. But this one actually had to turn off the licensed music option. I accidentally clicked the same race, I think, didn't I? Or no? Yeah, then they've got these, like, info video things that pop up, and it's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing with these things. Anyways, yeah, so that's kind of neat, is this one actually has a turn off licensed music button. But I think that's because it was at that time where we were starting to see, like, an explosion in, like, sharing content, if that makes sense. Like, there's literally, like, share to Facebook, share to Twitter. And, for something that is quite a bit old, I think it was about 10 years ago? 2010. This one came out in 2010, so, oh geez, about 13 years ago. So that's kind of interesting. What is with these excessively long little tutorial type things? Like, I just did a race where I used all of these abilities. I'm not an idiot. And you can't skip them. There's no skip button. It's like you are literally forced to sit here and watch these, which blows my mind. Like, I'm not an idiot. It takes 2 seconds to learn how to do anything in these racing. Like, it doesn't even tell you what the buttons are to, like, use these, right? It's just, like, telling you how they work and stuff. It's so stupid. That blows my mind. Like, you're literally forced to sit there and watch that. And it was for something I didn't even want to play. Oh, my God. Anyway, sorry. That is so beyond frustrating to me. That you'd have, like, it's a forced... Ugh, I don't understand the point of that in the slightest. Add a skip button. Anyways, if I'm forced to watch it, you're forced to watch it. At least you got to see some cutting-edge different tracks and stuff like that. So, career mode. Danica Patrick is... What? Is your consultant? She's the one that's telling you stuff? Oh, that is fascinating. You don't really see a lot on that lady these days, do you? Like GoDaddy commercials. Huh. Interesting. Blur. I don't know, like, I do, like, honestly, I have very fond sort of recollection of this one. I did actually find it to be a pretty cool kind of racing game at the time. I think it's just a bit of a shame that it didn't really fully find its audience, I guess. Because, you know, we were getting, you know, some interesting titles from Bazaar, and then they, you know, they went here under the brand and whatnot, and they tried to do some differing titles, and it just didn't pan out, and then eventually they were just kind of shuttered, and that's, like, to me is such a shame. Like, I hate seeing, like, some of my favorite studios kind of vanish over time. Like, the gaming is such a make or break sort of industry, where it's like, you know, you could be top of the world, and then your next release just does so bad that it's like, you know, it's over for you. And I just remember being like, huh, okay, you know, it's just interesting. Because you lose, like, a sort of identity of a type of game. And I know, you know, honestly, I'm definitely somebody that's always, like, studios, they change over time. Like, a studio from 10 years ago is going to be different from a studio, you know, now, 10 years later. And there is, like, a kind of a fundamental thing, though, where it's like, if you keep certain members, you keep building, you know, similar games, that, like, style of game carries on, even if the culture behind it changes. You know, there are certain elements where it's like, you know, the studio for this sort of thing, and then when that studio, like, shutters, you basically lose, you know, that sort of concept. Like, that type of game that they used to make is just kind of gone. And I do think Bizarre Creations actually made some pretty cool stuff. I'm really getting pushed to go down here, I guess. Okay. But yeah, actually, I kind of like this. Like, the environments look pretty good. You know, there's actually a bit of complexity going on there. I think for the time, this is actually, like, a really well put together kind of racing game. Shame it didn't, you know, fully reach its potential with follow-ups and whatnot. This is the biggest thing. Huh, this is actually, like, really action-packed. Oh, geez. Yeah, so it was published by Activision. Bizarre Creations. The Horizon engine. Ooh. Sounds kind of intensive. There we go. But, you know, you can kind of see with the power-ups that are present that this is, like, a very true to, you know, kind of karting, but also, like, you know, arcade racing, but it's also mature styled, like, you know, realistic vehicles and, you know, cars and damage and stuff. So it kind of melds the real with the unreal or the surreal, and then you're just kind of driving around smashing each other and stuff. It's kind of cool, but it's also one of those ones that I don't think we'll ever really see come back. Like, what is that? Oh, jeez. You know, licensing-wise, this would be a nightmare to remaster, you know, because of the cars and the music. I guess you could, like, reboot it down the road. I don't know, it's a very interesting title, though. It's neat to take a look back at this one, because I am kind of like, I really did enjoy this. It was a fun racing game, was the thing. And it was a different kind of racing game, and we have seen it kind of, like, minimally tried over time. Like, there was, I guess, Onrush, if you ever heard of that one. Yeah, Onrush was sort of, like, in this kind of, like, that one was a little bit more futuristic and open and crazy, but, you know, I think it could be a little in line with the concepts of gameplay of this one and what they were doing with it. But it is a little bit more of a rarity to see this type of game out there. It's quite niche is the word I would use. It's a bit of a niche genre of racing games, which is a shame because they're quite fun when you get to do crazy combative things. It almost hits like a type of audience for racing that doesn't like the regular racing style, you know what I mean? Where it's like all regular tracks. This is something a little bit, I guess, silly and fun. It's just a little bit more casual because you can do the smashing and bashing and stuff. And I kind of threw myself out of the race there almost by moving out of the way there. Yeah, that was a complete fail. I went way too far on the outside edge there. Kinda sucks. Okay, do we have to retry? You gotta take us back. But I don't want to go back. Yeah, I'll use the Camaro. I did so well the first time, and the second time I just absolutely failed. 5 lights, 4 lights, 3 lights. See, share your game progress using Facebook and Twitter. Which is, you know, obviously you still do that today, but this was that time in video games where they were, like, literally shoving that into, like, everything, right? So these guys would have been coming off of Gotham Racing, and then, yeah, getting basically acquired by Activision, kind of ended all that stuff until they eventually just, like, closed. They weren't actually even under Activision that long, if you think about it. Now, they also gave us the magic of Geometry Wars, which was a really cool little series of games. Which I'm hoping that comes back too sometimes. Those are like just really, really good twin stick shooters were the Geometry Wars titles. I quite like those ones. Very frantic, fast-paced action. But also perhaps something that's a bit niche, I guess you would say. Yeah, it seems like almost like not continuing PGR and getting acquired sort of like was the beginning of the end, even though they probably thought it was like a fresh build-up for them. Oh, how things could have changed. But then again, I think, like, I don't know if PGR would have kept going, really, all things considered, because, you know, obviously Forza was really, really emerging as, like, the premium Xbox racing series, right? And obviously that is massive, and it's kind of like, I know they're different games, you know, obviously I've played the Forzas, I've played the PGR games, they're different titles, but they do kind of, like, bleed over to one another a little bit. Like, this actually is some really frantic, cool action. Seeing all, like, the explosions and stuff going off. The music's really cool in this one, too. I think the music does add a lot to the game when you actually have that going. Yeah, I think the music is actually quite a bit of the atmosphere, too. The menu stuff feels really intense if you're just sitting there waiting for the game to kind of get off and get going. The game to get on. The loading takes a little bit, depending on what you're going to do to load into stuff, but, you know, for the most part, it's not too bad, though. Really, you're gonna literally somehow zip ahead of my Camaro here at the, like, the last moment. You've got to be kidding me. Get him! There we go. Been there, got the t-shirt. That's funny. So I think they were trying one of the Avatar Award unlocked. Oh yeah. I think they were trying to do one of the early kind of like, you know, we're integrating doing denied social media stuff, if that makes sense. Like we've seen so many titles that have done that kind of integration, where it's kind of like, you know, share this and blah blah blah. And so it seems like that's what they were kind of going for. A lot of this one is it's supposed to be something you would show off, and you'd be like, oh my god, look at this crazy stuff going on in Blur, which is, if you think about it, not a bad idea actually. It's actually a pretty good concept. Obviously it wasn't super overly effective, but you kind of actually get what they were going towards there. I wanted to come in first, and I was doing so well. Look at all these crazy lightning bolts all over the track. Minefield. There's a lot more to kind of, I guess you would say, dip and dodge and kind of move around. The fact that there's all this, like, crap all over the racetrack. Yeah, that is crazy. It's nice to be back playing this, though. I did actually quite miss this one. A little bit of a nostalgia dipping, that's for sure. I got him pretty good there. It's gonna be close. Actually, what I really need is would have been something to fix my vehicle. I'm first though, so I mean second now. Back to first. Okay, I really could have used that. Okay, let's not mess up on this last turn here. We should be home free, I think. Although I am really good at messing up right at the end, so hopefully this kind of goes here. I think I got it this time. I got it. That was intensive. Like, that actually was pretty intense. And I heard some fans. Oh, it's also doing that thing. I always find that silly when it's like the big like fan integration things in video games. I mean, it makes sense where it's like you're trying to grow an audience within the game, and it's like, you know, as if that reflects regular life and everything. Destruction. The LA docks. Like the idea of Brighton. They got like quite a few different modes. I just don't know if I like these introductory videos where it's like, you've got to learn the ways of the drive. Now the car models actually do look pretty good in this. It's all about destruction.
You gain extra seconds for every car you wreck. Watch out for defensive moves from other cars. Alright, go get them.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, minus the that kind of thing. Well, that looks nice, the lights in the night scene. And now I wait. Let's go, squad. Time to destroy vehicles along the docks at night. There is something fun about the idea of, like, vehicular type warfare. Even though it's not really much of a practical thing in a real life scenario, right? Like, imagine a bunch of cars just driving down the street blasting each other. It's, you know, it'd be incredibly hazardous. Like, incredibly hazardous. Woo! This looks really cool. Imagine how vibrant and colorful this would look at like a 4K resolution, like an up-res sort of thing. That would be really neat. I failed the run because I missed that last one. That's fair. I need to destroy more of these vehicles. I feel like I'm doing some sort of like Star Wars type thing with like a TIE fighter, but I've got like a freaking Ford, what is this, Fiesta or something? Oh, it's a Rally Sport model. I forgot when Rally Sport included laser guns. This is actually really entertaining. Oh jeez, get back here. Alright, let's try to actually get between the gates this time and destroy all of the other cars. Yes. Bang. I'm making a name for myself. I think I could have got gold if I would have focused on getting like literally any more laser shots. I could have blasted those away. Pretty good run though, except for the front of the vehicle coming off. I wonder what the insurance cost is going to be like that. How did you damage your vehicle? Yeah, rogue street racing where we were blasting laser guns at each other. Delightful time for sure, but you know, I think that would be a big hit to your insurance. That's for sure. A big insurance hit. I don't want to watch that video again. Race at the docks and boy, the LA River. Huh. Interesting. The Challenger. Ooh.